Before I end, I'd like to share with you 10 conditions, necessary conditions, for a life-sustaining civilization, at least in a humble way as I see it. The first one, there will not be a life-sustaining civilization if there is not a global vision of the future of humanity as a whole. To have a future vision of my country, Chile, alone is not enough. To have a vision of the developed world is not enough. We need to understand a vision, and I will suggest in these dialogues in the future to look at the World 2020. We have the Millennium Development Goals as one way to really think about this future in a quantitative fashion. The second condition is that we need to create effective collective networks. China is an example of success on effective collective networks. And I have seen it in my own profession, in my own institution, how efficient and effective China is in mobilizing communications, in mobilizing collective networks. The third necessary condition is to create a new basis for learning. Not only learning to have, not only learning to do, not only learning to know, but learning to be and to become. Societies are strong because of who they are, not because of what they have. So if we put our dialogue just to create more of having, more of making and more doing, this dialogue will be a failure. The dialogue needs to be for the being and becoming. The fifth condition, is that we need to nurture the value of life. And here I do not want to develop any further because Princess Irene was absolutely magnificent in the way she related to this. But let me just say one thing, is that the bottom line of what she was saying is, and my interpretation, is that economics and material growth must be at the service of humanity and not humanity at the service of economic growth and economics. This is the slavery that we have now through consumption and trade, and it's a hidden or explicit slavery. The sixth condition for a life-sustaining civilization is a major investment in human and spiritual capital. If you look at how much we're spending on physical capital, how much we're spending on financial capital, how much we're spending on this material thing, is amazing. I was a pioneer in advising countries on national environmental action plans in the 80s. And I look at the national accounts of countries, 45 or 50 countries, the amount of money spent on the environment as an intelligent investment was practically nothing in relation to GDP. So are we changing these patterns of investment into these new intelligent forms of getting society to go through human development and through spiritual development? The seventh condition is we are failing to manage our global heritage. We're failing to manage our commonly held resources. Claudia and yesterday the lady from Taiwan talk about indigenous people and indigenous culture. Excellent presentation. But this is not the only common heritage of the world. Knowledge is one heritage of the world. Culture is one heritage of the world. Our nature is also a heritage of the world. And I think we need to really understand how to manage it. And there are no international institutions today capable of doing this. So the question is how we're going to do it. The eighth condition is the next, we talk about the word revolution. I am proclaiming today that we have to go through a revolution in values. But as we have seen in the industrial state, a material revolution, the next revolution is a global social revolution. We know how to produce. We know how to consume. Now we need to know how to share. This is a social revolution that must be anchored at the global level otherwise there will not be sustainability. We need to create and adopt new forms of governance. And finally, we need to respect human rights, collective rights, and ecological rights. We have the right to a clean environment. Mr. Chairman, let me end by saying that I'd like to propose this eco-morality as part of the dialogue, but in doing so, I'd like to propose three things. The first one is we need to launch these dialogues all over the world. These dialogues are an example that needs to be replicated. I like to see this dialogue in my country. I like to see this dialogue in every country of Latin America, in Europe, in Africa, everywhere. Because this dialogue is an example of collective responsibility. But responsibility to be collective, we all need to be involved. And I like to thank the organizers for bringing me here today, because I can feel it, I can be part of this, and this is fundamental. But only a dialogue with China is not enough. We can learn from this dialogue, but please consider this as one suggestion. The second suggestion is that we must have a new program of human resource development. Human resource development and education are always seen as the solution, but we need to focus on the content for a life-sustaining civilization. We need to get to new forms of education quick. We cannot wait any longer. Maybe, as it was said yesterday, this is the only and unique moment. Maybe if we pass it on, it's finished. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to end with an optimistic note. I am optimistic that what this dialogue is promoting is possible, is feasible, and it can be realized for one fundamental reason. Because the only condition to a life-sustaining civilization is the capacity of our inner soul. Let's not look for supermarket to create the life-sustaining civilization. Let's not look for an extra percentage of GDP to get to this solution for a new sustainable society. We are free to get there. We don't need more material wealth to get there. Thank you very much.